We've seen tremendous economic growth in urban areas across Florida, and as I've said before, it's rural Florida's turn. Since President Trump's inauguration 6 weeks ago, we've seen an unprecedented, needed focus on government efficiency and accountability. As I traveled around the state, this is one issue that resonates with everyone, regardless of background, age, political party. All Floridians expect our government to operate efficiently, and tax dollars to be spent wisely, with accountability and results. Government efficiency sounds easy enough to explain at a Rotary Club meeting or chamber luncheon back home. But when we dig deeper past the talking points, it begs the question, what does government efficiency actually mean? For starters, I'm proud of the fact that Florida has a great framework for accountability. Our state has been well served by the performance metrics, the planning requirements, and accountability standards that Governor Bush and legislative leaders put into place nearly 30 years ago. Florida's grown and has changed a lot since that time. And today, technology continues to revolutionize nearly every facet of our economy and our lives at a pace never seen or felt before. To be clear, we will take the opportunity to build on and modernize some of Florida's long-standing accountability processes. Now is the time to do it. For example, the long-range program plans submitted by state agencies have been in place since 2000. They provide a 5-year plan for strategic goals and objectives, including explanations for budget requests. The Government Efficiency Task Force, on which Senators Broder, Rouson, Hooper, Burton, and I have served, recommended modernizing the long-range program plan to improve flexibility, simplify processes, and shift a focus to measured outcomes rather than simple outputs. These enhancements will allow our agencies to respond to changing situations quickly and efficiently, spending less time on bureaucratic paperwork and more time on their core mission to get the job done for Floridians. It's not enough to know that government is completing a task or providing a service. We need to know if that service is being provided well, which means we need to have new, innovative ways to measure performance. Another area where we know state government can improve is IT. Keeping up with the ever-changing technology landscape and the constantly increasing price tag of information technology is a real problem for government at every level, just like it's a challenge for every private sector business. Over my time in the legislature, we've tried many different ways to manage IT, from the Agency for State Technology to the Florida Digital Service. And despite everyone's best efforts, we can't seem to get it quite right. Along the way, I've learned a lot by just paying attention. And there's no doubt in my mind, it is now time for IT to be a cabinet-level agency. We must end the reality of Florida government not being on the same page. Whether we like it or not, the entirety of state government must be on the same page, all pulling in the same direction for the same goals and the same successes for Floridians. Under no circumstances, and I repeat, under no circumstances do I want to create an expensive, bloated bureaucracy of former C-suite executives from Silicon Valley. But without fail, we must have top talent in this space to win the battle against those who seek to use technology to harm us. We need the best of the best to help us understand the subject matter expertise within our state agencies and to develop, this is important, best practices, guidelines, and standards that focus on security and efficiency. When it comes to cybersecurity, Floridians' personal data and the IT infrastructure of our state, our citizens expect us to get that right. They deserve it. In my view, one of the reasons that DOGE has become so popular at the federal level is that Americans have a problem with the idea that unelected federal bureaucrats have so much unchecked authority. Now, I respect and appreciate those who dedicate their careers to public service. It is a high calling, a very high calling. However, the fact is we are a state and nation of laws that should be created by elected officials accountable to the people who elected them, not appointed professional staff. Florida government is not and should not be immune to this kind of scrutiny. Florida's rulemaking process can and should be modernized to better serve our state. Senator Grahl is sponsoring legislation by which all state agencies will be required to complete a 5-year full and complete rule review process. Each agency will review 20% of all rules each year and identify if any changes, amendments, or repeals are necessary. Improved oversight of administrative rules will go a long way toward keeping government more accountable to Floridians. That's the way government is supposed to work in its foundation. In addition to government efficiency, the Floridians I hear from across the state are most concerned about the economy, their economy, and pocketbook issues that impact working families, seniors, and those less fortunate in our communities. As much as I'd like to see it, we know that President Trump cannot turn around the national economy overnight. But we can clearly see that he and his team are running to that fight. Inflation is still a very real issue impacting everyone, especially our families and businesses across Florida. The struggle is real. It's no surprise to anyone here the cost of housing has skyrocketed following the pandemic. It's pushed property insurance and property taxes higher and higher. Combined with higher interest rates, there's been a big impact on homeowners and renters alike, particularly young families who are working hard to enter the Florida housing market. As a conservative, in my view, we have to be honest about the extent to which government, specifically state government, can or should address these issues in a meaningful way. Inflation is a national economic trend, and it won't be fixed overnight. But as I speak, our economy is going through major changes, a reset in a way. And it's going to take time for things to stabilize or normalize. With that being said, there are some things we can and will do to help. We'll hold insurance companies accountable for the rates that they charge and the services they provide when disasters strike. They aren't going to manipulate the system, and neither is any other industry, not on my watch. We'll explore options for Floridians to vote to lower their own property taxes. We'll continue to pass a balanced budget that will include, importantly, new measures for accountability, transparency, and outcome measures. We'll continue to pay down debt. We'll continue to maintain robust reserves to be prepared for any emergency that may happen. We'll continue to pass meaningful, broad-based tax cuts that benefit families, seniors, and those less fortunate in Florida. Every little bit helps to make Florida more affordable. We'll do our part. You have my word on that. I'm also excited about some other issues that we're going to be working on this session. Issues that affect real Floridians. Meeting them where they are. Meeting them where they are. Senator Harrell is sponsoring legislation to increase early detection, intervention, and support opportunities for children with autism and their families. Data clearly shows that autism is impacting more and more families across our state at an alarming rate. Florida will be a hub for autism research, services, and best practices. The families I've met with children with autism have touched me deeply. Senator Burgess is sponsoring legislation to expand support services for veterans and their families with a focus on mental health training and increasing the availability of adult day health care programs that serve veterans who require full-time care. We can never do enough to repay their sacrifice, but we're certainly going to run to that fight too. I know we're all proud of Florida's reputation of being the most military and veteran-friendly state in the country. I'm thankful that Senators Burgess, Truenow, Avila, and Collins have made Florida their home during and after military service. We're all thankful for your service. Let's give them a hand. Senator Bradley is sponsoring the Tristan Murphy Act, critical mental health legislation, which creates model processes for diverting defendants into mental health treatment. The legislation is named after a young man who tragically took his own life in a Florida prison in 2021. Learning about Tristan's story and spending time with his parents, Cindy and Dennis, has had a tremendous impact on me. We're proud to move this bill forward with their support. I'm grateful to Jim DeFeedy for telling Tristan's story. It moved me deeply. Senator Grahl is sponsoring important child welfare legislation to combat child exploitation, create a recruitment process and program for child welfare professionals, and establish professional foster care to better serve children with difficult behavioral needs. Many of these children have fallen through the cracks. Our child welfare system is always something that we have to work on, and it's been a space that Missy and I have taken a keen interest in over our years of service. As hard as we try, government can never replace the role of a healthy family. Data is also clear that the faster that we can get traumatized children into a loving, permanent home, the better off those children will be in the long run. I can assure you, we're dedicated to being a part of that solution. We know that vicious and moral criminals are out there each and every day in search of new ways to evade our laws and exploit vulnerable children. Evil is real, and it lurks around every corner. We should be the shining city on a hill and war against evil in the fight for good. The more data that we have on when and how this evil is happening, the better chance we have to stay one step ahead of these predators and to keep vulnerable children safe. This goal serves Florida in a very special way. Children are our future. Let's agree to fight together for their safety and give them hope. Amen. Senator Broder is sponsoring legislation to affirm our state's unwavering commitment to Everglades restoration. With President Trump back in the White House, we have a strong federal partner ready to move forward on Everglades restoration. In recent years, the legislature, in partnership with Governor DeSantis, has appropriated record funding for Everglades restoration and for our state's clean water infrastructure. I look forward to our continued work on these critical priorities. Senator Simon is sponsoring legislation to create administrative efficiencies in public schools, or as I'd like to say, DREG 2.0. Yeah. I'm proud of the collaborative bipartisan work of the Senate to rally around our legacy neighborhood public schools. Florida parents will make the best decisions about where to send their kids to school. And Florida schools and public schools of Florida deserve a fighting chance to earn their business. Like so many other areas of public policy, this is one where continuous improvement matters. Hear me clearly. Our public school teachers deserve to be freed of needless bureaucracy. Let them teach, let them compete, so our kids win. Amen. Lastly, we will be laser focused on solving food insecurity in Florida. I struggle with the fact that there are kids in Florida that are going to bed night after night hungry. We can and we will do better than that. Please join me in this important fight. Senators, I'm so thankful that you're here today, each and every one of you. Our backgrounds are diverse, but we are a family. I'm thankful for your commitment to the Senate and to your constituents and communities back home. I'm blessed by our Senate family. The book of Ecclesiastes reminds us there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. Time to be born, time to die. Time to plant, and a time to harvest. Time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to tear down, and a time to build. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones, and a time to gather them. A time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to search, and a time to give up. A time to keep, and a time to throw away. A time to tear, and a time to mend. A time to be silent, and a time to speak. A time to love, and a time to hate. A time for war, and a time for peace. These are important words of real and lasting wisdom. We have 9 long weeks ahead of us. I think we'll probably all experience each of those at some time over the next 60 days. Let's always remember to be there for each other, to support each other. And when we disagree, to do so with love and respect. I'm so proud of how we've done that so far. So proud. I'm proud of each and every one of you. I couldn't be more blessed to be the president of this incredible Senate. And remember, above all, 1 Corinthians 13:13, and these 3 remain: faith, hope, and love. The greatest of these is love. I love you all to the depth of my spirit. Thank you. God bless Florida.